Hey everybody, it is Eric Lucas, your favorite real estate investor here in San Diego. And last week I was able to see Bruce Norris speak at the local SDCIA, the San Diego Creative Investors Association. And Bruce gave his predictions for the 2019 California real estate market. And by far my most popular YouTube video that I've done was the video I did about a year ago where I summarized Bruce's predictions for the 2018 market. And since you gave me such good reviews and feedback on that video, I thought I'd make another one to summarize what Bruce said about the 2019 market. So if you recall, a year ago, Bruce said that he thought California as a whole had about 12 to 18 months to go before we had a minor pullback. No crash, but a minor pullback in prices. And he is sticking to his guns on that. No major changes from his 2018 forecast. He still thinks that we're going to have a minor pullback in prices, but no crash. Now, by far the most interesting thing he said the entire night was that affordability as a whole, affordability as a state overall, is still not near that magic 15 to 17% number that we almost always hit before we have a pullback in prices. And he mentioned that because of the markets are behaving in the manner that they are, it's very strange for us to kind of see these markets behaving the way they are with us being still at such a high affordability rate historically. I think he mentioned that overall as a state, we're at 24 to 25% affordability, and yet for the markets to start to be slowing and behaving in the manner that they are, it has not happened before. So at this point, he doesn't think we're going to hit 15 to 17%. He thinks that the end is near, and we might not hit that low affordability number. Why is this? Why has this never happened before, and why is this now happening now? He's not sure, but he does think that perhaps it might be something to do with the fact that we were so aggressive in the Great Recession to keep the banks afloat. We obviously kept interest rates so low, we printed so much money, and we still are kind of strict with lending, so perhaps that's why we might not be able to hit this 15 to 17% magic number that usually signals the end of a cycle and the top of a cycle. Now, on monthly payment affordability, it's a little bit of a different story. And important to note, Bruce still relies most heavily on affordability overall, but monthly payment affordability is still something that's worth looking at. And there, it's a little bit of a different story. So San Francisco, he says, is overheated on a monthly payment affordability basis. Yet San Francisco still seems to be going pretty strong. Riverside is actually a little bit below where it was. I think it's actually about 20% below where it was on a monthly payment basis, and Riverside is going pretty strong still. San Diego is about even as far as affordability in the last bubble, but San Diego is starting to probably see a little bit of a decline. So I'll move into the next line item because I thought that was interesting since most of us here focus in the San Diego area. One thing that Bruce said that made my jaw drop is he thought that prices would be higher in 6 to 12 months. But he clarified this was for California as a whole, not necessarily San Diego. He mentioned that he's got a new build project going on right now in Riverside, and he had multiple offers on it. And therefore, Riverside is still going pretty strong. As I mentioned, San Francisco is still going pretty strong. But he did mention that he would not want to hold property in either of those areas 6 to 12 months from now. He thought that he's kind of cashing out now on these high prices. But again, 6 to 12 months from now, he thinks that we're going to see a dip across the state, then a pullback. He was not firm on the fact that the pullback might already be started in San Diego. As a matter of fact, he said that the pullback we're seeing in San Diego might be seasonal, which was really the only time I kind of have disagreed with him. And I think a lot of people in the room actually disagreed with him on that. Now, of course, Bruce had a chart to back it up. And the really interesting thing was for the last 3 to 4 years, sure enough, prices in San Diego take a little bit of a dip every December, January before they start going up again, in the spring. So if Bruce is still looking at the chart for San Diego and he sees prices are taking a little bit of a dip, I can see why he thinks that might be seasonal. But I think those of us on the ground here in San Diego, what we're seeing right now sure doesn't feel like a seasonal dip. It seems like, something a lot more severe than that. So Bruce did acknowledge that the party might be over here in San Diego County. He did acknowledge that San Diego might be the first county to kind of pop as far as prices go. And I think those of us on the ground here would agree with that. but he still thought that what we were seeing might be a little bit of a seasonal pullback. And he wasn't sure either way. He didn't take a hard line. He acknowledged it might be seasonal or the party might be over. So something to keep an eye on. But again, I would say that those of us on the ground here, this doesn't feel like 2016 or 2017. What we saw the last 6 months of 2018, the adjustment has definitely been much harder. So, and sure enough, the party might be over here. And on a monthly payment affordability basis, we're already where we were in the last bubble. So maybe that's what's happening here to the San Diego market. So overall, though, as far as a pullback, it's going to happen. How do we, as investors, prepare for the pullback? How do we still buy in a down market or a flat market? He mentioned that the strategy was to avoid flawed inventory and win tiebreakers. So flawed inventory would be properties that are on a dirt road, properties that are on a busy street, properties that back a commercial area or an apartment complex. When you have a family shopping for a home and they're looking at 5 homes, you want your home to be the best. You want to win that tiebreaker. And as a company, we've already started to make some of those changes. A great example would be we've bought a few properties off of Mass Boulevard in Santee in the last year. And in the hot market, we were able to get darn near top dollar for those properties, even though it was on such a busy street. Now with East County especially starting to slow down and with prices starting to tumble, we're not going to be buying anything off of Mass Boulevard because it is such a busy street. We're not going to be able to win those tiebreakers. So we're going to avoid that flawed inventory to make sure that we can still get out of our flips okay. Bruce mentioned that he thought we should prepare for an extended flat period. He thought the flat period might last for as long as 5 or 10 years. And again, no crash, but a minor pullback followed by a flat period was really what he thought was in the cards for us. Now, as an investor, I'm actually kind of excited about that, right? Because I think if we have a flat period where prices are flat, we don't have any maybe negative media attention nor positive media attention, we might have more buying opportunities because sellers of beat up properties might be more willing to part with them for a reasonable price. Over the last 2 years, it's been kind of difficult for us to pick up beat up properties for a good price, as most of those sellers were, seeing such positive media stories on price appreciation that they thought they could get $500,000 for their fixer in Encanto. Where now, if we've got a flat period and the media is not, constantly talking about how hot the market is, those sellers might be a little bit more realistic and be willing to take a fair offer for their fixer property. So, as long as we don't have a crash, too, on the selling side, we should still be able to get top dollar for our flips. So, therefore, if we can still get top dollar for our flips, yet we have more buying opportunities. More opportunities for us to do more deals and make more money that way. The one thing that Bruce said to watch out for is corporate debt, auto debt, and student loan debt. The only way he sees this next recession getting out of hand is if we went crazy with corporate debt, auto debt, and student loan debt, or if we have bets against corporate debt, auto debt, and student loan debt. Obviously, the driver of the last downturn was the fact that mortgage debt got so out of hand, and not only that, but we had bets against that debt. So do we have vehicles in place where people have bet against corporate debt or auto debt? If we do, and people got silly on Wall Street again with those bets, then that could drive the next pullback into a recession or maybe another great recession. But he did not have firm answers on this yet. He was still researching these subjects. So Bruce is going to have a report coming up called On Borrowed Time, where he summarizes the California real estate market for 2019 and the near future. I believe he's coming out with that report here in January or February, so I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that report. But until then, we're still buying. As investors, we're still excited about the future. So if you are a real estate agent here in San Diego or a wholesaler and you've got a off-market deal or pocket listing that needs a little bit of work, give me a call. We'd still love to buy it. My cell phone is 602-570-7207, and I buy here in the San Diego area. So we'd love to work with you here in 2019, and hope to hear from you shortly. Until then, have a very happy and safe New Year. Take care.